The next speaker we have is going to be Miss Linda Friedberg. So, Miss Linda, if you could unmute yourself and say a few words, and then I'll be speaking and wrapping it up after that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Michael and I first met John and Sandi about 40 years ago when they moved in across the street in the old neighborhood. The residents of South Meadow consisted of mostly young Jewish families. Yes, we were once young. Our street, Dawn Ridge, was a fabulous place to live at the time. We would congregate after dinner and on weekends and visit while the children played and rode their bikes. It's ironic that we became closer friends with John and Sandi when Michael and I moved from the neighborhood. Sandi was a bit upset with us because her house was on the market for over a year and ours sold in exactly 1 week. I become very nostalgic when I look back over our years as friends with the Bryants. All of the dinners out and movies that we saw together, celebrating all of our special life events, such as bar and bat mitzvahs, milestone birthdays, our surprise anniversary party given by Andrew and Jennifer, and Sandi's art shows, to name a few. I will always remember our visit with John, Sandi, and Aryn in California while John was on sabbatical at Stanford. They took us to the gallery in Palo Alto where Sandi was having her art show, and they showed us such a lovely time. John was the most brilliant person I have ever known. Sorry, Michael. He was extremely well-read, and he knew so much about so many different topics. John was also well-published and a total professional in his work. The professor was so dedicated to his students, and they loved and admired him. Rice University suffered a great loss the day John retired. John was a loving and devoted husband to Sandi, and he adored his little girl. He was so proud of Aryn when she was accepted to Rice on her own merits. John had a special bond with Sean from the beginning. Sean was a son that John never had, and Sean treated him like a dad. I am so very thankful for the quality time we had with John as this cruel disease started its damaging work. While he was still at home, Michael picked him up several times to go to breakfast. They would talk about many subjects, and it was an enjoyable time for both. I will always cherish the time we all went to Sage Hill Inn for the weekend. We visited wineries and went to a vodka tasting, John's favorite. I would not trade that weekend for anything. Michael and I had the opportunity to spend many meaningful hours with John during his numerous hospital stays. We would bring up dinner sometimes, including, of course, milkshakes for John. It was during these times that we often saw John at his very worst. We knew this was not John, it was the disease. As the Parkinson's progressed, Sandi needed to put John in a home where he could receive the extra care that he needed. It was a horrible day for Sandi. We took her to dinner that night, and she stated that she knew that she did the right thing, even though she hated the thought that they would never be together again at home. We visited Silverado frequently. In the beginning, we could take John out to dinner. The point came, though, when we needed to bring dinner in, and we ate in the lovely room off the lobby. Except for our last visit, which was right before the coronavirus restrictions, John always seemed to do well while we were there. I would tease Sandi that I didn't believe her when she said John had bad days. On our second to last visit, John looked at me across the dinner table and told me he loved me. Sandi feigned jealousy, and John said, "But I do love her." I told him I loved him too. John, our love for you will always be in our hearts. Sandi, Michael and I love you and will always be here for you, no matter what you need or when you need it.
Thank you very much. That's very sweet. And finally, I'm the last speaker, and we'll be concluding with some words of my own. But yes, one of the things that his illness did, and one of the things that illness does, is it strips somebody down to just kind of their core personality. They start to lose things. But I think the blessing was at the core of John was a good man, and he genuinely loved the people in his life, and he loved Aryn and Sandi very much. And I'm very thankful that Aryn had him in her life because that love and those good qualities allowed her to recognize and see some of those things in me. And I think that's one of the reasons that we ended up together. Um, and I can see some of those same qualities in her, her strong and independent nature, her vigorous defense of people that she feels are being mistreated, or her standing up for folks and her fighting against injustice. John was always a fighter, and he always stood his ground if he didn't think people were being treated fairly. And that's one of the things that I see in both Aryn and Sandi, and one of the things that attracted to me to her early. And I think one of the things that keeps us moving forward is just those values that we share that John instilled in his daughter. John was one of the kindest souls that I've ever encountered. He was always helpful and thoughtful, and he was utterly devoted to Aryn and Sandi throughout his life. He is the best father figure that I've had the privilege to know, and I know he was a man of very deep faith. We had a lot of conversations about his faith and his religion, especially later in his life when he had to make a lot of decisions. And I know that I will see him again one day because of that deep and abiding faith. So, on behalf of the family, I want to thank all of you for attending. And I have one more thing left to do. John, one of John's favorite places in the world was France, especially Paris, around the Notre Dame. He loved sitting at the coffee houses on the Parisian streets and just enjoying the beautiful weather and people there. In conclusion, we're going to play a little French thing, if I can share my screen correctly. Okay. So after this, we'll play the slideshow again, and thank you all for coming.
En regardant le mur de la prison d'en face, j'entends tous les ragots et les bruits des autos. Boulevard d'Arago qui passe. Ce et la terre peut bien s'écrouler. Peu m'importe si tu m'aimes, je me fous du monde entier. Tant que l'amour inondera mes matins, que mon corps frémira sous tes mains. Peu m'importe les grands problèmes, mon amour, puisque tu m'aimes. J'irai jusqu'au bout du monde, je me ferai teindre en blonde si tu me le demandais. On peut bien rire de moi, je ferai n'importe quoi si tu me le demandais. Nous aurons pour nous l'éternité dans le bleu de toute l'immensité, dans le ciel, plus de problèmes. Mon amour, crois-tu, je t'aime. Peu m'importe si tu m'aimes. Dieu réunisse qui
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you all very much. My
Was there-
memories be
I
blessings.
love
And
everybody. I love you all. I love you all. I love Sean. I love Aryn. Thank you, thank you, thank you from near and far. I saw London's on, California's on. All my friends are on from everywhere. John would have been he would have said, oh no, don't do that. And then he would have said, oh my God, I'm so glad you did that. So thank you all. And I love you all.
You're wonderful, Sandy. You are a wonderful help.
Thank you.
You really were. And
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
don't forget your friend in Pittsburgh when it comes time.
Oh, Maryland! Meltzer and Alan Meltzer will never be out of my
Realize
guys, I love you, and Alan is in our hearts too right now, Maryland.
realize that I owe you. I know you longer than John knows you.
Yes, that's, no, he brought me to your house.
No. I met you at the theater after I knew John.
Oh no, we're getting in an argument.
All right, we'll talk later.
Right.
Call you later, Marilyn. I love you.
Talk to you later, sweetheart.
thank
Bye.
you, everyone. My
Thank you,
memories be
everybody.
blessed.
Sean, you have a new career as a DJ.
Sean, thank you, Sean.
Dollar vote.
I'll be your agent. I swear, I'll be your agent.
Bye, everyone.
Aryn, you did good.
Yeah, good job on that, Aryn.
Daddy loved you, Sean.
So Mary, we have our VO.